Okay, we're live. I'm gonna give this a couple minutes while we wait for more people to show up. But I guess I'll start with the introduction of what this quick sort of impromptu live stream is. Hey everyone, welcome to, you guys have seen the Vintage Space set. Welcome to the Vintage Space set. I am sitting on the couch that is usually behind me. And what I wanted to do today, a lot of you guys have asked me to go do a video about all the astronaut autographs that I have, and I thought that would be like the most boring video in the world because I'd be standing there showing you a bunch of things. I thought it would be a lot more fun if I actually just took you through my collection and showed you my astronaut autographs, because I actually do have a pretty phenomenal wall, and I apologize in advance, this one might get a little bit, I'm gonna try to make this as unmotion sickness inducing as possible, but it's a large wall behind me, and I'm gonna have to get up on my couch to show you exactly what's on my wall. So yeah, I have had a chance to meet a number, let's try to get that angle a little bit better. Pete, sorry, I should show you guys Pete. Let's see, can I turn the video around? Let's see if I can. There's the video. Oh, there's my finger. There's Pete lounging on my new ottoman. He's loving it, and I think that might be his new favorite spot. So Pete will probably make an appearance. He might actually come join me on the couch in a second. There he is. There's Sneaky Pete. All right, so you guys have asked a lot about how I've come to have a collection of astronaut autographs. A lot of it is, honestly, I have gone to events like Space Fest, which is it's in Tucson most years. It was in Pasadena 3 years ago. But astronauts give talks, and they're on panels, and they all do signings. So what that means is you line up and you get a chance to talk to them for a few minutes, and you can buy an autograph. And I've done that because I love these guys and I want to add to my collection. So I've met a lot of them have been at signing events, and a handful of them have been, I've met them at a conference, and they're kind of willing, after a talk or something, they're willing to kind of just sign something for my personal collection, and it's always very nice and very appreciative. And a few of my autographs, actually I don't think any of the ones I have here, I bought online, but I have bought some online. Just sorry, the glare. So they do that. I don't know how to get that. There's the glare. Nope, I'm not gonna be able to. Anyways, I'll move around so it won't be as glaring in a second. But I bought some signed, like, old copies of books that have been signed from astronauts, and used bookstores or even just eBay. Those are all actually still at my parents' house because I sort of never officially moved out. I just kind of moved and still have like a whole bunch of stuff at my parents' house, including my copy of Lost Moon by Jim Lovell and Jeff Kluger is there. It's actually, I bought it used online, and it was signed by Jim Lovell, so that's kind of awesome. I have a copy of Gene Cernan's Last Man on the Moon that is also signed to Daisy, but that still counts. I have that at home, and I have I can't remember the name of his biography off the top of my head. His memoirs, Jim Irwin from Apollo 15. I do have a copy of Jim Irwin's memoirs that I bought at a used bookstore signed. So I can't show you guys those, but I'm going to show you guys. We're going to start with the wall. So here's going to be the slightly nauseating bit because I'm going to stand up on my couch to show you guys exactly what the wall looks like, and then I'll go through each of the photographs, each of the things, and tell you guys kind of if I have a good story about them, and then I've got a bunch to show you that I have not yet hung, because I'm kind of in the process of moving some furniture around in here to get it to be a little bit homier and more comfortable. So let's start. I'm gonna start by doing one of these. I'm gonna not show you guys the super messy house. Okay. So here's the wall that you guys see in the background of my videos. Sorry, there's track lighting up on the ceiling that I can't move because I'm short, so it's kind of obscuring some of those with the glare, but this is what the wall looks like. Yeah, every one of these things is actually signed by an astronaut. A lot of them are Lunar or Apollo era, and it's kind of an awesome collection. So we're gonna turn it back to me. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna go to the couch. And by that, I mean to the things that are above the couch. Okay, this is gonna be awkward. We're gonna start with the one up here. Oh, this is really, really tough. Okay, angles, there we go. Okay, so this might be kind of glary, and I can't see the comments that you guys are saying right now, but this is a shot of mission control right after Apollo 13 landed. and it's signed by Jerry Griffin right here with his thumb up, and Glyn Lunny, who is standing right next to Gene Kranz. I would love to have Gene Kranz added to that picture. Don't know that I'll ever get a chance, but if I do and I remember to bring that picture with me, I'll totally add him to that. But, so this one, I met both Jerry Griffin and Glyn Lunny at an astronaut scholarship. Let's see if I can angle that so you guys can see it better. At an Astronaut Scholarship Foundation event like 5 years ago. And I just got a chance to talk to both of them, and I've spent a bit of time with both of them at various events and stuff, and they're both just like awesome, lovely guys. And they were willing to sign that for me, so I kind of have this gorgeous shot of like what it looked like, the celebration moment when Apollo 13 splashed down, signed by 2 of the flight controllers who helped actually save the mission. So that was actually one of my first autographs, and one of my favorites just because it was one of my first. Flight directors, just as a little side note, if anybody ever goes to one of those autograph shows, flight directors are always less expensive than astronauts. You know, astronauts are the ones that went to the moon. So when I started, that was what I could afford, and it was very exciting to me. So my first like big kind of sinking some money into my astronaut collection was this piece right here. This is my favorite. I'm going to turn the camera around. Okay, wait, let's see. Camera around. Okay, so you can kind of see it. Sorry guys, it's going to be glary. When I had this framed, I opted not to go with museum glass because it was crazy expensive. But, okay, so we have Jim Mcdivitt, who was on Apollo 9 and Gemini 4, Vance Brand on Apollo Soyuz, Walt Cunningham from Apollo 7, Fred Hayes from Apollo 13, and Dick Gordon from Apollo 12. Now, let's see. Okay. I understand I don't know, so I think I should not show you my messy apartment. I think Canadians, as a rule, oh great, you can see me standing in the reflection of that. I think Canadians, as a rule, have a very, very bad sense of what irony is because of Alanis Morissette. So I don't know if it's the irony of it or just the fact that it's kind of funny that none of the people on this actually went to, or like, these are the people that went to or didn't walk on the moon, signing the Earthrise, but that's okay. I wanted like a neutral picture that I could have a bunch of people sign and kind of have a really nice center point to autographs, because I wanted something that would just be kind of big and awesome. So this was like the first kind of big financial commitment I made into my astronaut collection. I've met all of these people a number of times at this point. For those of you who saw my live stream from Space Fest, when Dick Gordon sees me, he just looks at me and says, "What do you want now, food girl?" Because I always ask him about food things, mainly on Apollo 12. So that's why you can see the inscription. Let's see, angle it. This is tough. You can see he wrote "no sandwich." I got that. So the first time I met Dick Gordon, I asked him about there's a picture of Pete Conrad the morning that Apollo 12 launched to the moon, and a suit tech is just shoving what looks like a sandwich into his like pocket, and there is no record of it. There's no mention of it in any NASA source or any biography. So I asked who else would know but Dick Gordon and Albion, so I actually asked them about it, and he told me. I have a video about this. If you guys want to search it on my channel, if you look up sandwich, you'll find it, I think. So he told me that it's because they had a very busy day. They launched and, you know, sort of going into like not even a lot of orbits. They didn't have a lot of time to wait before they did the translunar injection burn and then had to turn around and pick up the lunar module on the way to the moon. They didn't have a lot of time to eat. They were going to have to wait for their eat period, so they had a sandwich in their leg pocket so they'd be able to just grab something really quick while they were working. So no one had asked Dick Gordon about the sandwich, apparently, so he wrote "no sandwich" on my thing. So the other people here, I mean, Jim Mcdivitt, for anyone who's ever met him, is, he's one of those guys that, like, he's in his 80s, but you kind of get the feeling that he's very much just mentally and emotionally in his 30s. He's just a firecracker. He's kind of awesome, and, like, yeah, he took the piss out of me one day, for lack of a better term. He schooled me in Orbital Rendezvous. So I'd done a video ages and ages ago. Like, I've redone the video on the blog since, after I met with Jim Mcdivitt about this. I think it's in Gene Kranz's, it's in Gene Kranz's memoirs. He talks about the rendezvous and station keeping on Gemini 4, and he describes it as Jim Mcdivitt's pilot instincts kicking in such that he couldn't rendezvous. So basically, when you're in orbit, if you speed up, it actually increases your orbit. Your orbit gets higher, and that takes you further away from your target if your target's in the same plane. So what you have to do with orbital rendezvous is actually slow down and pass in front of it, and then speed up to kind of come back and meet it in orbit. If you guys have questions about that, leave them in the comments, and I could do a whole separate video, because I don't know if I've ever actually done a video about that rendezvous. But anyways, Gene Kranz describes it as being Jim Mcdivitt pilot instincts kicking in and not really understanding how orbital rendezvous works. And Jim Mcdivitt apparently really hates that that's published. So I sat down and he gave me a lesson on orbital rendezvous, and I have pictures of it somewhere. My friend Mark took pictures of those. Mark is the photographer for Space Fest. He's taken all the fun pictures of me and Worden, whose autograph we're getting to. I got Jim Mcdivitt's autograph, and that was fun. Walt Cunningham I spoke to about Apollo 7 stuff. Obviously, he was the lunar module pilot on Apollo 7, even though there was no lunar module, but because I worked on Don Isley's memoirs, or wrote the historical context section, this very brief little bit, in that book, we talked about that mission and kind of what it meant for him and what his own personal feelings were, because of course that's not in the memoirs at all. It's about Isley. It can't really be about any other human, so that was my fun challenge in kind of writing that, and I was excited to just dig into that, the human side from everyone else's perspective, and memories when I was working on that. Vance Brand was telling me stories when I got this autograph. He was telling me stories about what it was like training, because he was on Apollo-Soyuz, the first joint mission with the Soviet Union. He was telling me about weird customs, or weird to American customs, that they kind of had a crash course in when they were training for Apollo-Soyuz. And he just said that there was one day that they were driving along the side of the road, or they were just driving to some training thing, and everyone pulled over and pulled out a thermos and started drinking, and he thought it was coffee, but it turned out to be vodka at 10 a.m. He's like, yep, there was all kinds of things that was so foreign to us, but we really got into it. And I think he told me that there was one banquet, I can't remember what the animal was, it was like a goat or a sheep that they had at a banquet, and the delicacy was the eyes, and the Americans were allowed to eat the eyes, and he said it was one of those moments of sort of weird, not quite culture shock, but sort of this is different. So he had some fun stories about that. And Fred Hayes, if anybody ever has a chance to meet him, is one of the nicest guys ever. He's just so chill and so fun. I actually had a really interesting conversation with Fred Hayes, not when I got this autograph, but about sort of what would happen if a couple got married in space. Where would the marriage be legal? And what would happen if you got divorced in space? I can't remember why we even brought this up, but I just had this really long conversations about the legalities of marriage in space with Fred Hayes and a couple other people, and it was I would never think that I'd be sitting and talking to an Apollo astronaut about things like the legality of space officiated marriages, because people are obviously wanting to do that, right? People with the private space flight companies and stuff, you can, even if you're sort of doing a parabolic suborbital flight and you get 10 minutes at the top, you could totally get married in space that way. So I think that's kind of how that came up. Okay, we're gonna go over to this side so that I can start sitting down, because my arm is getting tired holding the phone. Okay, so sorry, this light is ridiculously bright. I'm gonna turn the camera around and hope that I can actually get this. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, so this one, there's a lot of glare. Sorry guys. This is Charlie Duke, the lunar module pilot of Apollo 16. Charlie is another one of those guys who is just so nice. I'm sorry I can't get the glare. Okay, there. Is that better? I can't hold it like this, but there, you can get a shot of it, sort of. You can kind of see the autograph right up there. So Charlie Duke is another one of those ridiculously, there we go, is one of those ridiculously nice guys. He's still got the southern, that light is so bright, very much like a southern gentleman. Anyone who followed my Apollo 16 live tweet knows that he loved grits going to the moon. Really, really nice guy, really just happy to chat about all kinds of things about space, about history, about Americana. He's a patriot through and through, and he's just honestly like one of the kindest people to talk to. Okay, and we've got over here. Let's see what else. Okay, on this wall, this is Rusty Schweikart right here from Apollo 9. I love this picture during the spacewalk. Rusty famously was kind of sick during the early phases of Apollo 9, and they almost canceled the EVA, but then he did it. He ended up going outside, and I think he was the one that had a couple of moments of actual free time on an EVA when Dave Scott had to change a film reel. I met Rusty very, very, very much in passing. I had met him at a B612 event, which is a private company that's looking to do asteroid detection stuff. I'd met him there sort of in passing, to the point where he's sort of like, oh, you look familiar, but don't know him super well. But we talked about how we should make him the poster boy for the Earth not getting smashed by rocks. I thought that'd be a fun like byline for his business card. But Rusty's and all these guys are quite nice. Okay, moving down. Okay, good. I can sort of slightly rest. Al Worden. I love this picture. This is Al Worden during the Deep Space EVA on Apollo 15. He was the command module pilot of Apollo 15. And you guys notice a lot of these pictures are people in spacesuits that are just kind of iconic of the mission. I kind of love this one. I think I put this down on his table and was like, hey, can you sign this picture of your butt in space for me? I'll turn it back around this way. Okay. This light is real. It's usually fine. Oh, that's showing my messy house then. I'll leave it this way. So Al Worden is, if anyone's ever met him at all, he is so, I believe those are rivets, but it might be paint bubbling off in the sun. Someone just asked about the bubbles right here. So he's one of he's awesome. I've met him a bunch of times. My friend Francis French co-wrote his memoirs, so just a couple of years ago, it was the first time I met Al. I walked down the elevator at Space Fest during the cocktail reception the first night, and I walk down, I see Francis, and he waves and says, Al, this is the Amy that I've told you about. And then Al Worden gave me a hug, and I was just like, aw, yay. So now Al Worden is just one of those people who's always just like cool to chat to. That's the best part. That's the best part about getting to know these guys. Like they stop being people that you're sort of starstruck over, and you get to just like hang out and just talk to them. Okay, moving down. Dave Scott. I love this picture of Dave Scott from Apollo 9. So I think I've told you guys that like the best thing to do with astronauts is honestly to not ask them the same questions they always get. Okay, I'm gonna turn this back on me for a second here. Okay. That light is still kind of blinding. Okay, so because this is a good story. So I feel like there are so many people who, they ask this question like, what was it like in space? And you can kind of see, like, I mean, I've asked those questions too. Everyone wants to know, right? But I kind of, if I know somebody is like not necessarily like they look tired or something, I'll ask them something a bit more fun to try to like just get them to relax, which is like a weird way to think about amazing like people that have inspired me my whole life. So I bought this picture of Dave Scott to have signed. And he's kind of like, there's some of those guys that just like, they're alpha men when, they were alpha males when they were hotshot flyboys in their 30s. They are alpha men now. Like they still kind of have that, that aura to them. It's like, it's kind of awesome and intimidating. I don't know, it's fun. So I put that picture down on the table and I just like kind of put it down and I slid it across and I said, if I may say so, good sir, can I just tell you that you are a total heartthrob? And he's like, I'll talk to you. And we ended up talking about different phases of missions and sort of what each one was like from a pilot's perspective, because these guys were all pilots in that era, but a lot of them don't necessarily equate flying spacecraft to flying aircraft. And I was curious, and I asked him, we were just kind of chatting about a bunch of stuff, and I asked him at one point, what was the best to fly? I mean, you've flown dozens or maybe even hundreds, I'm not sure off the top of my head, different types of vehicles. What's the best? And he said the lunar module on fumes, that nothing was as responsive or as fun to fly as the lunar module ascent stage when it was almost empty, because you would just like tap it and it would just respond immediately. I just thought that was such a great little anecdote to get from him. I would never have thought of that. I don't even think, I mean, I've read so many of these biographies, like I've never seen that. So I thought that was kind of a neat one, and I was really glad I kind of got to break through to Dave Scott for like half a minute just to kind of have that moment with him. So that was kind of fun. Okay, and then the last one on this wall, I'm going to turn this back around and show you. Okay, this is in a really awkward spot relative to the couch. Okay, so it's this. So this is actually, I've done a video about this, but this is a piece of the Gemini 2 heat shield. Now, Gemini 2 was an unmanned mission, but still, that was in space, and it was the first piece of like flown space artifact that I bought. And then I had it signed. So the top signature up there is Tom Stafford. And then under there we've got, five Gemini engineers. So this is, the top is Dean Purdy, Bob Shep, Jerry Roberts, Norm Betchel, and Earl Robb. I'm sorry, like remembering back to that panel that I moderated. So I moderated a panel at the ISCC conference, and you guys know, here I'm going to so you guys know that I have a Gemini Regalo tattoo. I love the Gemini programs. I was so excited to meet these guys and to have a chance to actually talk to them. Whoop, there we go. Have a chance to talk to them. Whoop, that's my silver play button. To have a chance to talk to them about what they did and to just get a chance, you know, I showed them this at the end, and they're sort of like, wow, you're real, like, you're serious. And I was like, yeah, I'm a huge Gemini fan, and they were nice enough to sign that for me just for my collection. So that's a huge, they were so nice and so knowledgeable and so fun. So that's one of my favorite pieces, just because it was also like this amazing moment that I got to do. I got to, you know, moderate a panel of these amazing pioneers of the early space age. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so we've got, oh yeah, and then I've got here, these are like neat but maybe less interesting, but I've got two posters from the Adam Young soundtrack series. He did scores for historic events every month last year. The ones from Project Excelsior and Voyager 1 are awesome, and the posters that I bought are signed. So that's fun. Okay, so we're gonna go over here because I've got one thing on this wall. The infamous Albion poster. Okay, so here I'll close up on the signature. Sorry, I've got that light on in the background. Again, didn't spring for the museum glass on this. So you can see his signature here. It's a poster. It's just a poster that I had signed. This is the one that I moved. I moved from the background to kind of create a different look. But this one sits by my desk all the time, and I love it. So Al Bean is another one of those guys who's pretty cool once you hang out with him a little bit. He's really good at like taking the time to actually talk to people when you come up. I mean, even though you're, you know, buying an autograph, these guys are really good at recognizing that, like, I'm gonna put this down so I don't have to hold it. Okay, there. These guys are all really great at recognizing that, like, what they've done, even though for them it was a job, like, they know they're historically important, so they're really great about taking some time to really talk to you, and it's just like, it's amazing. I mean, Al Bean, that is a poster based on one of his paintings. I stood next to him while he was talking to an artist who was kind of talking about like his own artistic process that he does whenever he paints, like the lunar module, for example. He'll do like an intricate technical drawing, and then over top of that, take his artistic license with paint. And it was sort of interesting to hear an engineer talk about art, and it's just like, he really takes the time to talk to you guys. If you ever have a chance to meet Al Bean at one of those events, he'll really give you like a really nice 5 minutes to kind of get to learn something about him. Okay. So, moving on to the things that I have not yet had a chance to hang, because there's a lot of them. I gotta fix some stuff. Okay, so, oh, I don't need this one, not this one, or that one. I've got other things that don't need to go up on the wall. Okay, oop. So this one, this I got signed at Space Fest this past year. So this is Joe Engel. He was an X-15 pilot and also flew the approach and landing tests for the space shuttle. So a lot of people don't really know Joe Engel because, I think honestly his most incredible thing was doing the X-15. And it's so funny, he doesn't know if that was him or not. But I asked him, nobody know. I mean, I could probably hunt it down if I wanted to, but I just, like, didn't even care. This picture is awesome, and Joe Engel is great. So the first time I met Joe Engel, he did come on the first shuttle mission. He did, with John Young, right? Yeah. Or was it just the approach? No, it was Fred Hayes that did approach and landing tests only. You guys know I'm not super up on my shuttle. I know a few things. I'm so much better on my pre-shuttle. So the first time I met Joe Engel, I asked him, drop the pilot machismo for a second. How were you? Because I think his record altitude flight was something like, it was Crippen and Young. Thank you. So Joe Engel, someone in the comments let me know, did Engel just fly the approach and landing tests? I can't remember. Okay, thank you guys, Bob Crippen and Sean Young. I knew Young was there. Okay. So I asked him, I was like, so his peak flight was something like 380,000 feet. I was like, you're in this thing, if anyone's ever seen the X-15 in a museum, it's 50 feet long. It's just this tiny little, like, dart of a missile with a cockpit in the front. I mean, that's it. Like, it's nothing. And I was like, how could you be 300,000 feet above the Earth? You can see the blackness of space. You can see the curvature of the Earth. And all you have to get yourself down safely is the skill in one of your hands. And he's like, well, we trained. We had simulators. We knew what we were doing. And then he sort of paused for a second and said, if you think about it, it was a little bit scary. I was like, that's awesome. And I think I videoed part of that interview. This is like 4 years ago. STS-2 was Joe Engel. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I knew he did shuttle stuff. Everything I've done with Engel has been X-15 related. So yeah, I got to add Engel to my collection. So I love that one. Okay, and up next we've got, I love this one too. Dee O'Hara. So Dee was the astronaut's nurse. She was the head nurse for the astronauts during the Apollo era. She everyone kind of knows her as the Mercury astronauts nurse mainly, and they loved her because she was not a doctor. She couldn't actually ground them, so they were actually more honest with her about what was going on with their bodies, and she knew more about them than most people. And they weren't scared of her because she couldn't take them out of flight status. So she wrote this to me, to lovely Amy. Dee O'Hara, astronaut nurse, Mercury through ASTP. I met Dee. Actually, the first time I met her a year before I got this because she left Space Fest early. I was wearing this yellow dress at the banquet for Space Fest. It's this great thing that was my great aunt's in the 70s, and she just kind of wanders up, and I know who she is, and I'm sort of like watching, like she's talking to Dick Gordon. I'm just like, I still can't believe I'm with these people. And she comes over and just says, I love that dress. And I said, I would just love to shake your hand. And we ended up just chatting, and I had dinner with her at Space House this year, although it was awkwardly across the table and it's hard to talk, the big banquet tables, but she's so nice, and just kind of awesome, and donated all of the funds she raised to animal shelters. So yeah, that's on my collection. I also finally this year, this was another one that I couldn't get previous year, but Eileen Collins, the first ever female shuttle commander. She was also pretty neat to talk to, and I had that interesting moment with her where at all of these events, the astronauts will have handlers that kind of manage all the things, like making sure their needs are met and everything, so that the astronauts can focus on meeting fans. And her handler was a fan of mine. I was like, well, thank you. And then she's like, Eileen, you need to, Amy does great stuff. And I was like, oh, thank you. So we just ended up talking a bit about sort of like how to get kids excited about space and stuff. So that was a really fun one. I had tried to meet her the year earlier at Space Fest, but couldn't. She left before I was able to get an autograph, so I was really happy to get this one. So this one too, I also just let's just take a second and look at how gorgeous that picture is, like the coloring of it. I think she wrote on the back of its frame, but she obviously she wrote on the back of it that I think the picture was taken in 1990, she said. So she had just started at NASA, but she didn't even have a NASA issued flight suit yet, so she's still in her Air Force flight suit. So I thought that was kind of a great one. So that's my Eileen Collins. And then the last one I have from Space Fest this year. hard to tell, so Florida, because I needed something neutral, because these are two of the Mercury 13. That is Jean Nora Jessen and Sarah Ratley, I think her last, Sarah Ratley. I can't remember, I think I'm reading that right. I would honestly have to double check her last name, because their names kind of escape me sometimes. Still getting familiar with them, but yeah, I got to meet two of the Mercury 13. These women, I mean, well, whatever, these guys, because everyone's guys to me. These guys were awesome, and were sort of like, I didn't have a lot of time to talk to them, which was really, really sad. But they did kind of tell me a few things about like what it was like going through it, and how they were just like, yeah, it was tough, but what do we care? We wanted to do it. And they were just like, it was just awesome to meet these women who are, you know, in their late 70s or early 80s now. I mean, they're the same age as the astronauts. And they were just so like, yep, they were just like so chill and so happy to just be like, yeah, of course we wanted to do that. Like, of course it was awful, but you know, we would go out and grab a drink at the end of the day, so it was fine. I was just like, you ladies are human, and it's awesome. So that was really, really fun to actually get a chance. However, briefly, I know I felt really bad. I was like monopolizing their time, but to get a chance to meet them. So I realized I forgot an autograph on this side before I show you a couple books, but one of my favorites. So I mentioned earlier that I have a Gene Cernan autograph at my parents' house. I also have one here. I really love this picture. And I really wanted a Gene Cernan that was to me, so you can see, hang on, let's do it this way. Okay, so you can see the autograph, see the inscription, and see if I can angle it so you can't see light. So, okay, so there's the picture of him. This was during Gemini 9, this is right after the EVA, where he almost died. So the if those of you who don't know, this was kind of before NASA really understood how an EVA would work. They kind of forgot things like Newton's third law, that every time you kind of push one way, your whole person just goes the other way, because he had nothing to grab onto. So on this EVA, he was trying to get to the back adapter section of the Gemini spacecraft to recover, I forget what it was like an early MMU. I think it might have, and I forgot Bruce McCandless too. Oh yeah, I immediately went that way and forgot about this side. To test like an early MMU, a man maneuvering unit. And it was so hard, he got so sweaty that the suits were air cooled at the time, and it couldn't cool him effectively enough. And he lost, I forget off the top of my head, I want to say it was something like 2 liters of fluid from sweat, or maybe it was 1 liter, but yeah, it was, he nearly died. And this picture, let's see, I can show you guys again. This picture from Gemini 9, it's blurry and it just he looks awful. I put that picture down in front of him, and I'm just warning for young ears. I'm just going to quote what the conversation was, and I'm going to curse lightly right now. But I put this down in front of him, and I said, so I love this picture of you. Because you just have that look on your face where you're like, he's talking to Tom Stafford, Tom on the mission. He's like, Tom, what the fuck are you doing? Stop taking my picture. I almost fucking died. And he looks at me and he kind of smiles and says, that's about right. It's just like, yeah. And we ended up talking for a bit. This was a few years ago. I can't remember the details. I remember the first time I met Gene Cernan much better. I've had odd conversations. I had a couple of odd ones with Gene Cernan, but the first time I'd met Gene Cernan was at an Astronaut Scholarship Foundation event, just in the bar in the hotel after dinner, and I was sitting with a friend of mine, Bob, and we sat down, and Gene was grumbling a little bit. He was sort of annoyed that it was the 40th anniversary of Apollo 17. And he was annoyed that everyone was just praising him and how wonderful he was. And for some reason, I just decided, I'll jump into the conversation. This was 6 years ago, and I was much shyer. More shy, I should say. And I said, well, in your defense, a lot of people are talking about your potty mouth on Apollo 10, where Apollo 10, I think I have a video about this. If not, I should do one. When they were doing the rendezvous after Apollo 10's lunar module went down towards the surface, and were attempting to redock with the command module, there was something with the antenna setting was wrong, and it ended up tumbling towards the moon, and someone yelled out, son of a bitch. And everyone was talking about how great Gene Cernan was, of course, and then also how much of a potty mouth he had on that mission. So I sort of said, they're tempering it with that. And he said, that wasn't me. That was Stafford that said it. And I sort of sat down, I was like, actually, I know, because I read the transcript, but at least people think it was you. So that was weirdly the first conversation I ever had with Gene Cernan, and the first time I think I ever actually met an astronaut. I think that was before I actually went to the signing event that day. So that was kind of fun. That was a weird one, but yeah, Gene Cernan. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Gene Cernan here. So yeah, who doesn't love Gene Cernan? Definitely, if you guys, what is the movie? Last Man on the Moon, which is the same as his memoirs. Fantastic movie. I would recommend it. I think it might actually be on Netflix. Okay, so now we have books. Oh, you guys know that Pete Conrad's always my favorite. I just don't have, I would love a Pete Conrad. But that, of course, I'm going to have to buy. So another one, I just because I know Francis and I know Al, I did get both of them to sign my book as well, my copy of Falling to Earth. And he did write very nicely, with my best wishes to a fellow author, which is really nice. So I love having this one in my collection. I also have, let's see, I met Clay Anderson. You guys know I'm less good on Shuttle, and he was really nice, and I was like, hi, I do Apollo era stuff. So he was nice. He signed this, and we ended up chatting a bit, and I can't repeat a lot of the conversation, but he did sign this one, and he did kind of yeah, he sort of spoke candidly about a few things, what it's like to be an astronaut, and I haven't had a chance to read this yet, but I'm so excited to read it, because he's pretty entertaining. I kind of hung out with him and my friend Chris Calley, who's an artist at Space Fest, and yeah, got into some interesting areas of conversation. Again, I can't totally repeat any of the things that we talked about. Okay, leaning, and then this is okay. So this one. Well, I'll add this one to the list. I don't know. I'm gonna throw this one in there. I got my copy of Apollo 8, the new book on Apollo 8, which you guys should read, signed by Jeff Kluger. Because I'm such a huge fan of his, and I'm very, very honored to be able to consider him a friend now. And you guys should read this book. But yeah, my copy of Lost Moon that's signed by Jim Lovell looks just like this. I gotta pick that up from my parents' house. Okay, so this is one of my all-time favorites. This is actually the first astronaut autograph I got, and so I picked this up at an Astronaut Scholarship Foundation event for like $40. It's a used, beat-up copy of This New Ocean, which is the official NASA history. I'm getting to Mike Collins, which is the official NASA history of the Mercury program. It is more than anything you ever need to know about Mercury, but there's one of these for every one of the programs, and they're my favorite. I absolutely love these books. And Scott Carpenter was there. And he's the only Mercury astronaut I ever got to meet. And he signed it, and I was amazed. He was, I want to say 89 that year, and his penmanship is so firm. He had a very hard time hearing, and it was tough. They were so loud in there, and I felt so bad. But he was really, really nice, and really like, it was so nice to take the time to just sort of say, so what do you do, and what got you into space? And it was just really, really sweet. So this is one of my favorites that, you can find these autographs on the internet, but I love, a lot of people always say, my autographs are all, you can see some of them. Some astronauts won't inscribe, they won't write anything to you. They'll only do a name, and a lot of people like that because then you can sell them again. And a lot of people have noticed that so many of mine have my name on them. I get them to say, if they're willing to Amy, best wishes, or whatever. Yes, I do have the book Rocket Man, one of my favorites. But I don't care about the resale value. I love having this for my own private collection. So it's really, even if this is a beat up old book that's worth almost nothing with a signature in it, this means so much more, just because it is personalized by an astronaut. So every time I meet, hang out with friends or see their books that are like, Michelle Evans, for example, who wrote the amazing book on the X-15, she is the X-15 guru. She has her own copy of her book, is signed by every X-15 pilot she ever had a chance to meet, I think all of them actually, and engineers and anyone who worked on it. It is like, I don't know, there's like 40 signatures in there. It's just like, oh, it's amazing. So I kind of wish I'd thought of doing that beforehand. I could just have one book and have it signed by everyone. Like, this would be a great one to have signed by everyone. But you know what? I kind of like building my wall of awesome up here. So this is kind of fun. Okay, and I've got one more autograph. Okay, so I've got one more that I forgot because I haven't hung it yet, and it's sort of sitting, there's the light. It's sitting here in paper to protect it. Okay, there's my kitchen, sorry. Oh wait, here's a good one. This is an Apollo 13 Econ Hat signed by Cy Liebergott. He had like 15 of these made at one point. And at Space Fest last year, he was selling them. So you had to get it signed. And he just wanted to get rid of them, and I was like, this is actually kind of a great weird thing to have in my collection. So I have an Apollo 13 Econ Hat signed by Cy Liebergott. I love that. It's such an odd thing, but I love it. Okay, so let's turn this around. I'm going to show you a shot of a floor for a second. Sorry, this is awkward. I should have planned this one better, guys. Sorry. Okay. Not that one, because that is a picture of the moon that a friend of mine took and had signed for me, or had framed for me. This one. Okay. Ooh, darn it. Sorry, guys. Okay. This is the one I want to show off. Sorry, that was really awkward. Finally got there. Mike Collins, Apollo 11. Okay. So there's the signature. So I actually had this. You guys might recognize this sort of. This is, you know, that famous picture where everyone in the earth, everyone who ever lived is in the picture except Mike Collins because he took it. This is 2 frames before that. So what I like about this picture, so it's 2 frames. You can kind of see the Earth is just poking above the moon's limb. This is the moment that he called Earthrise after Apollo 11 left the surface. So this is right when they're about to rendezvous. They're going in for the rendezvous. This was the moment that he was able to see the Earth on the way down. I love this. So I actually had this printed and color corrected, and had it done in the largest size I could get with full resolution, and had him sign it. And I love this one. It's just such a stunning picture, and I haven't hung it yet because I'm just trying to figure out where it goes in the wall. So yeah, that's my newest edition. And that's one of the ones that I'm working on figuring out where to go. So all of these are eventually going to be added to the wall. It's just a matter of figuring out A, where they should all go, and B, if I can find a ladder to get up there, because I am short and can't necessarily actually get all the way up there. All right, I think that's everything. I don't, I wish I had the, I'm sorry that I don't have the books that are at my parents' house, the Jim Irwin, the Jim Lovell, and the other Gene Cernan. Stop, Pete, stop it. He likes to eat things. I don't have any Russian cosmonaut autographs. My autographs are limited to I'm sorry, I gotta stop Pete from chewing on things because Pete likes to chew on things. Stop chewing on things. Here, I'll show you guys this picture of the moon too. Why not? This is a friend of mine gave me this to celebrate finishing my book. It's just a gorgeous shot that he took of the full moon. So that's also gonna go up. So, yeah, I haven't gotten any cosmonaut autographs. I haven't been to Russia because I don't have a way to get to Russia yet. Eventually I'd like to, but yeah, I'm slowly kind of building out the collection, find neat things, online, meet somebody at a conference or something and kind of find that person who's willing to just give you a quick little signature on the side. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I always feel really, really bad asking, but with Gene Cernan, I was really lucky to get that his last Space Fest. So I can't turn down the opportunity to just have a quick, even if it's just 2 minutes where I get to talk to them, and to have the signature to remember the story of when I met them, and just have that little anecdote of Dave Scott. Met Dave Scott once, and I told him he was a heartthrob, and he laughed, and it was awesome. Okay, I have that moment now. So that's really what my autograph collection is. It's the collection of moments of people that I've met that have inspired me my whole life. So that's what that is. That's my autograph collection. Sorry, it was a little bit jumpy up there when I was holding the phone out, and sorry for that awkward Mike Collins reveal there, but I really wanted to show you guys that one before I get it up on the wall, which I have to figure it out. Okay, Pete, you want to come say bye? Or do you want to stare at me? Pete's over there sniffing my new chair. Okay, so I think that's it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of the people I talked about, I guess, or anything you would like to see future, proper videos about, leave all that stuff in the comments. I would do, of course, you guys, I have weekly, regular videos. Oh, are my degrees in it? No, I have them here. I don't know if I want to do anything with them. Well, actually, I should show you guys this one. I kind of forget about this one because it was in an envelope for so long, but I got a thing from NASA, a group achievement award from New Horizons for working on New Horizons. I kind of want to put that up because it's kind of awesome to get a NASA thing. Considering I know NASA gives these out to missions. I mean, there's like what, 2? I have a lot of stuff on dinosaur, you guys. If you Google it, if you look it up on my channel, you'll find it. But yeah, I think this is kind of neat. I mean, I know a lot of people at NASA who have these, like, what, 200, 500 people got these from New Horizons, but, like, I don't work for NASA, it's kind of fun. And then I don't know, I have it because I like, have it in a frame because I had a frame with nothing in it. Like, I have my master's degree. I don't really want to put it up, but it's here. So that's the thing. Those probably will go not on the Wall of Awesome because the Wall of Awesome is for awesome astronauts. That's fun. A mission patch collection. I will show you guys my, so yeah, right, I should say it. So what I also want to know, what else you guys want to see live streams of. So I am planning to do one. I don't know if I'll be able to do it next week or the week after because I'll be away for the eclipse. But I am going to do a live stream of sort of some of the cool memorabilia I've acquired over the years. Some of it is new, some of it is very vintage, some of it is really weird. A lot of neat models and sort of stuff that people have found in yard sales and I've collected. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a tour of that. I can do a tour of like my cool space toys. I know I have a video about it, but I've got more stuff now that I could share with you guys. So there's any stuff that you've sort of seen me using to demonstrate in videos or see in the background that you want to know more about, let me know, and I can also do a stream of that. And I also was wondering what you guys think. Yeah, I should ask you this directly. If you guys think, I've got a X1 model kit that I haven't built yet. You guys want to build it with me? I could do a live build of that too, because that's kind of fun, and it'll be a lot of orange paint. Another museum tour. I would love to when I get to a museum. So yeah, let me know if there's anything else you would like to kind of see a tour of. I'll do any museums and stuff when I'm traveling as much as I can, but for now it's got to be stuff that I have in my house, like all the cool memorabilia I've got. And of course anything that you guys have questions about that I could make into future episodes. And like I was saying, this channel still has normal videos every single week. This week is going up either Wednesday or maybe Thursday, depending on my internet upload speed. So yeah. I think that's everything. I think that is the end of the tour of my awesome astronaut autographs. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you guys, if you have your own collections, I hope you get as nerdy about it as I do, because it's awesome to have walls of awesome. All right, thank you guys. Bye.